Good morning, TopFanRivalry followers, and welcome to Friday. What does Friday mean? Friday translates to no, not the weekend. It translates to the weekly review. Jackson's here. He's ready to school every one of us. Jackson has more statistical knowledge than I will ever have. He's forgot more statistics than I'll ever know. He is the Top Fan Rivalry stats guy. Don't mess with Jackson. How was that for an intro, Jackson? How are you?
It was a lot.
Let's take in, coach. That's lots to take in.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Jackson, let's just dive right into it. It's Friday morning. What do we got for number one?
My number one, I'm gonna go with the hottest news in the town. I apologize if you can hear my son in the background. He is having a rough morning, but um, the Mariners firing their manager. Scott Servais is out as manager of the Seattle Mariners after they got swept by the Dodgers. They are in free fall once again. They have fallen to 5.5 back of Houston. They're out of the wild card picture by 7.5 games. They're sitting at 500, Bill. It's not looking good for Seattle. If they don't do something quick here in the next week, I think their season's over.
Um,
It's
maybe,
just it's a lot. With the way
maybe,
Houston's playing, it's a lot.
maybe. So I had this conversation. First of all, I think it's a terrible move by ownership to fire it. I don't know if just tempers got hot in a meeting or whatever. I think it's a terrible look with 35 games or so left to play. Um, to fire your manager. I do. It tells your fan base, okay, we're done, right? We're gonna, better luck next year. Um, now I've got the schedule pulled up, and this is why I don't like this move. This is why I don't like this move. Okay. They go to San Francisco and they play three with San Francisco tonight, tomorrow night, and Saturday night. I'm sorry, they go home and they play San Francisco at home. Then they play Tampa Bay at home. Then they play the Angels, who are struggling. Then they play the A's. Then they play the Cardinals. They end this, I mean, in the month, listen to these teams. In the month of September, they play the Angels one time, the A's four times, the Texas Rangers, who are out of it, seven times. I'm sorry, they play Oakland seven times. They play the Rangers seven times, play the Angels one time. The only competitive teams that they have in their September schedule are they have three with the Cardinals in St. Louis, three with the Yankees at home, and two with the Padres. Oh, I'm sorry. And their last three of their last five games are at Houston. So there literally is no room to despair. Panic, maybe a little, but let's not forget. I mean, the Astros are playing really good baseball, but let's not forget what Boston just did to the Astros. The Astros now have three more with the Orioles, three more with the Phillies, and then four with Kansas City. Wrong time. Go take two out of three from San Francisco. Watch and see what the Astros do. This thing's going to come down to the wire. But when you let go of your manager like that, you're saying, everybody, we're not looking at it this year. We're out next. It's a bad move. Tell me
Yeah,
I'm wrong.
I don't like it because I feel like the general manager is scapegoating the manager. He went out of his way to say in the press release that he's not, but he totally is. I just feel like the Mariners roster construction is poor. Ownership has been really kind of stingy. So they have to go out and get guys that are, maybe slightly above average or league average ball players. And when those guys play every day, there's a lot of variance. So they have a lot of high strikeout guys that don't hit for a lot of average, that don't get on base. And it's a shame because the Mariners have the best pitching staff in the MLB, probably top to bottom. The the amount of times that, their starters go out there, throw 6, 7 innings, give up 3 runs or less is staggering considering they are a 500 ball club. So
Mhm.
I don't like the move either. I think you got to ride it out to the end. But if I own the team, I would fire Jerry Dipoto, but he's probably not going to get fired because he gets the most bang for his buck. I think a stat that was floating around social media that people are talking about is the most WAR per dollar is what they were saying. So he's the most efficient general manager, which is what cheap owners like to hear. So hopefully there's a meaningful change. Hopefully that lights a fire under the players, and it gets guys like Julio Rodriguez going because Seattle's a good team. I think they're a fun team, but they really got to. I think it's really critical this 10 game stretch where Houston plays some good ball clubs to really kind of make up that ground again.
Yep. Yep. So my number one, Jackson, is saying that we have Jackson Adamas and Bill Adamas here. And I'll tell you why. At the beginning of the season, you and I said straight out and straight up that the NL Central would probably be able to be won with give or take, give or take 85, 87 games. It looks like that's going to be the case. Milwaukee's sitting with 73 wins right now. They're 10 games ahead of the second place Cardinals. Um, this division is awkward because the Milwaukee Brewers are playing very well. I mean, they're 19 games over 500. Seattle. St. Louis is a game under 500. Chicago's 2 games under 500. Cincinnati's 4 games under 500, and Pittsburgh is a whopping 7 games under 500. Mind you, that if Milwaukee were in the National League East or the National League West, they would be in second place. So, um, hats off to the Brewers. I actually watched them play against the Dodgers, that 4 game series, and they split 2-2. The Dodgers literally gave 1 game to them, said, "Here, we don't want to make it look bad." But the I don't know that the Brewers are going to make a huge run there, especially with Christian Yelich being out. I don't see the Brewers being that team where you're just looking and going, "Wow, we can't live without these guys." So, what do you think?
I think they're an interesting team. They're only a game behind Philadelphia, so out of the 2 spot in the National League.
Hmm?
Considering all the injuries they've had to their lineup and their pitching rotation, especially, that's really impressive. I think Milwaukee's a scary team in the playoffs because of the amount of good bullpen pitching they have.
Mm-hmm.
They turn everyone they find into not a 98-mile-an-hour fastball pitcher with a crazy slider and then a janky junky splitter or sinker. But I think Milwaukee has the advantage that they're good at stringing hits together. They're good at playing small ball. And when it comes to playoff time, teams that can steal bases or take the extra base have an edge because it's hard to scrape 4 or 5 hits together in an inning against a playoff pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But sometimes you can't sit around and wait for the home run. So I think
Nope.
Milwaukee is in a really good position. And I think right now they're probably the second best team in the National League.
What you talking about, Willis? I Please help me understand that one.
As the teams are playing right now, it's probably like insert your favorite NL West team, Milwaukee, and then the other two NL West teams. It's not by a lot, but as far as like if you were to rank them for like the postseason,
Yeah.
I'd probably put Milwaukee, you know, second in the National League because of that good bullpen and because they can, like everyone on that team can steal a base. So that's really valuable in the postseason. We saw Kansas City do it. I think it's going to be really critical in these playoffs, especially with the disengagements, the fact that a lot of really good pitchers don't hold runners on very well because they kind of get into their rhythm and just kind of forget about it.
Kind of forget about it. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I'll buy that for $1. But I still think that that division. Now, no shade I'm reminded of last season, right? There was nobody that said that after Texas limped in on the last day of the playoffs into the wild card spot that they were going to win the jewelry, right? So Milwaukee can do anything. It depends on injuries. It depends on, you know, flair, everything like that. I'm not saying that they can't go deep. I just don't, after watching them, I just don't see them going deep. The scary part is you have um Padres are starting to slow down. We'll talk about that later. But the Padres and Arizona Diamondbacks are like, don't mess with them. I mean, our
Yeah,
good friend LL said, "Don't call it a comeback." No, they're not calling it a comeback. They've been here for years.
yeah.
So, okay, what do you got for number two?
Let's head on over to the AL Central and talk about the Kansas City Royals. I don't know if you were aware of what the Royals did at the deadline. They had a, I'll put it in quotation marks, quiet deadline by most people's standards, but
Mhm.
they probably had the best trade deadline out of any team, Bill. So Lucas Erceg, who they got from the Oakland Athletics, hasn't given up a run in 10 and a third innings, 14 strikeouts, only 4 hits allowed, no walks. Paul DeYoung, who they brought in to play third base, has a 548 slugging percentage and is playing above average defense. And Michael Lorenzen, over 22 and two-thirds innings, has a 1.99 ERA. So these Kansas City Royals are just trucking along. They've cut Cleveland's division lead. We talked about how good Cleveland's been this year to 2 games on the back of, Bobby Witt Jr., timely hitting and really good pitching.
Well, he doesn't pitch, but yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I said, and timely pitching.
Oh, and dot dot dot.
And
My
timely.
my badness, my badness. I heard that. I'm old. What can I say? My bad.
Bobby Witt probably throws like 97. So
Yeah. I'll tell you what. Kiki warmed up for the ninth inning in Oakland when we were there a couple weeks ago, and he was throwing BBs. Like I'm talking probably 80, 85 mile an hour BBs, maybe more in warmups. When he came out, or when it was time to play ball, his fastball was clocked at 52. It was hilarious. I'm like, where were those BBs that you were throwing?
just
Oh,
just
now.
getting just getting loose, but I think Kansas City has a legitimate shot of, Cleveland's kind of had a bad week here. Um, and Kansas City's kind of in position to maybe make a run at the division. Minnesota's right there with them. So I think the AL Central is the division to watch this weekend. The Twins got the Cardinals. Kansas City's hosting Philadelphia. Cleveland's hosting the Rangers. So all 3 teams at home.
Yep. Yep. Okay. So my number two is going to surprise you. I like where you're going with Kansas City. I do like that because Kansas City is one of those teams that nobody expected a lot from, but early on I said that it was Kansas City or Detroit that was going to win the division, and I think I'm half right. Detroit, I mean Spencer Torkelson taking a nosedive right at the plate, and Javi Baez just completely forgetting how to hit a baseball has changed things. But okay, here's my number two. You're gonna love this. Okay, Jackson, you ready?
Yep.
Um, Houston +6. Cleveland +18, Kansas City +14, Minnesota +11, Baltimore +8, Yankees +6. Okay, these are all playoff teams, right? And I'm going to tell you what the plus means. The Boston Red Stockings -3. That's everybody's home records. The Red Sox are 29 and 32 at home. So I'm talking to a guy in Boston yesterday, and he's telling me that like the Red Sox are considering changing the mentality up with the boys to think that they're on the road. Like literally have them get to the field and before batting practice, jump on the team bus and drive around Boston for a half hour and drop them back off at the stadium so they feel like they're on the road. Like ordering in like the way that they feed them on the road. Like they're they're trying to change the narrative, and it is absolutely comical. But the Boston Red Sox, yes, they're 7 games out of first place. I don't think that they're going to catch the Yankees. I don't think they're going to overdo or outdo the Orioles, but they're 3.5 games out of the wild card. And I'm here to tell you, watch out, Twins, watch out, Kansas City, because these guys are good. They've got a really good pitching staff. There's not a hole in their lineup really, but nobody's paying attention to them because they expected them to be down at the bottom like they were last season. But Boston, you got to win at home. You have home cooking. You got that big green wall out there. You've got an outfield that comes like in a T square where it's like 600 feet from home plate to hit it out of the yard, which Aaron Judge, by the way, cleared. Like you have the home field advantage. I don't care, boys, if you got to jump on a bus and drive around Boston, maybe go take the duck tour in Boston, hop on one of them boats or whatever you got to do to clear it up, but get it done. You got to win at home. What say you, Jackson?
Yeah, I mean, it it's a tough climb. That's a tough ass to catch any of the teams in front of them. But yeah, you're right. The key is always home cooking. You should have a better record at home, especially when you play in a stadium like Fenway Park. These hitters should know it to the point where they know if the pitch is on this half of the plate, I know exactly where I'm trying to put it every single time. Every lefty should be going the other way off the green monster. Every right-handed hitter should be trying to just pop it up over the green monster.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
tell me I'm wrong. It's a free double.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, just bounce that thing off the middle of the monster. You're good to go.
You're good to go. So, they really just gotta kind of figure out that consistency at home. I think if they do get into the playoffs, they are an interesting playoff team. But
Yeah,
uh, I'm not super high on them like you are. But
no,
yeah, they need to figure something out. Maybe they need to like sleep in a hotel.
sorry, sweetheart. I'm not gonna sleep, at home tonight. I'm sleeping in a hotel because we suck when we're on the road.
Line up everybody's beds in the clubhouse. I don't know, make it feel like it's just like one big.
But Jackson, here's what's interesting, okay? And here's what's interesting. The ERAs aren't awesome for your starting pitchers, right? But if you go and you look at their strikeouts, Tanner Houck, 135, Crawford, 133, Pavetta, who's been hurt a little bit, 125, Bello, 120. These guys are getting outs and they're going deep into, I mean, uh, Houck has got 152.2 innings pitched. Crawford, 142. Like I said, Betta is been out, but he's got 105. Bellows got 132 or 103. I mean, they're going deep into games. They're getting their starts. They're going where they need to be, right? And so, I mean, they're averaging close to 18 outs per start, which is good. But I mean, I'm not saying that they're going to get jewelry this year. I'm just saying that this is a team worth paying attention to.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the teams to watch down the stretch, especially since they play in the AL East. They could definitely be a spoiler for either one of the division winner, contenders there, or anyone really in the American League with the amount of games they have left.
There you go. Okay, before we get to your number three, everybody that's listening to this, if you're listening to this on YouTube, great, congratulations, you're getting the free content. If you're a Locker Room Access member and you're watching the Locker Room, thank you for your support. Top Fan Rivalry. You do want to go to topfanrivalry.com. You do want to go into the Locker Room. You do want to pay $25 annually. You're going to use the discount code that Jackson's going to give you right now. It is what? Discount code
Code,
what?
code Jackson, get
Code
10% off.
Jackson. That's going to get you 10% off. At when you're a Locker Room Access member, you get 10% off gear, you get 10% off um, collectibles. Not only that, but we are having events every single month, whether they're Zoom or whether they're in person. And these are locker room only events, locker room only events, right? And so I'm very excited to talk about that. Last month, we had an all ladies night. We had 18 women on. It was fantastic. We had one woman that works in sports talk about that. We had another woman talk about gears up for stuff. We have a lot. We have next month, we have an incredible lineup for you. And in October, we've got a men's night. So you need to be a Locker Room Access member. If you're looking for a community of sports fans, this is where it's at. Jackson and I, we have faces for radio. We get it. But you get with that $25, not only do you get access to all these super cool events and cheaper merch, but you get access to Jackson's articles that are in the locker room. You get access to other fan articles. So please don't miss out. I listen, put down the cup of coffee right now. Look at your receipt of what you paid for that coffee, and then think about it and say, after you got your double, triple shot of whatever with foam, something with ice, and whatever you get, and it costs you $8.50, think this is to join a sports community and to get access to that. It's going to cost me 3 cups of coffee for one full year. I don't know what you're doing. And by the way, please understand, we're We are a great community. We are a baseball community currently, but we're dipping our toe into the NFL this year. So be careful. Everything, you're not going to just get to see my pretty face on baseball. We're going to talk a little football too. So, Jackson, I don't know what people are doing. If they haven't stopped, if these people have not stopped listening right now and put it on pause and gone to the locker room, TopFanRivalry.com and joined, I don't know. I don't know how to help them. I don't know how to get them there.
I mean, we can go to their house and force them to get on the computer.
I mean, I guess we could do that. I mean, we might go to jail, but I guess we could do that. All right, Jackson, what do you got for number three?
um, let's talk a little bit more Orioles, and more specifically, they're starting pitching problems.
Yeah,
Corbin Burns and got shelled again yesterday. He gave up 6 runs over 5 and 2/3 innings. That's 3 out of his 6 starts since the All Star break have been poor. He did start the All Star game. Um, yeah, and he hasn't been good. And the Orioles lost Zach Eflin with a shoulder injury, and they just sent down Rogers, their trade deadline acquisition from the Marlins. They sent him
I
down to
saw
AAA
that.
to try to get him right. So I mean, moving forward, if you're the Orioles, I know they're a game and a half back of the Yankees.
Mhm.
I know they're 2 games up in the wild card, but I think the Orioles should be worried. They're running out of pitchers, and it's not a good spot to be in down the stretch. We talked about those Boston Red Sox who are lurking. The Royals and the Twins are right there. You don't want to drop down in the wild card race, because if you play in the wild card round, preferably you'd want a home game. Um, because like we just talked about, you want to play at home because you win more at home.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the Orioles are in trouble a little bit. They need to kind of figure it out, piece some good pitching together, and hope the bats stay up. But you can't hope to score 6 runs a game, win every game when your pitching's only giving you 5 innings. And you have to stretch out that bullpen.
Um, okay, so here's an interesting statistic for you. First of all, I don't want to hear any complaint from any team, and I don't care which team. I don't want to hear anything from any team about pitching injuries. I am a fan of the 2024 world champion Los Angeles Dodgers. Tyler Glass now is out again. Clayton Kershaw, like I can go on. Yamamoto, like Shohei's not pitching. Um, just about everybody on our pitching staff is either heading for Tommy John or just had it, right? Dustin May is out. Walker Buehler has been terrible. Like, I don't want to hear pitching woes from anybody, but I agree. The Orioles, they've hit the dog days of summer, and instead of plowing through them, it's almost like they hit a wall and said, "All right, New York Yankees, go ahead and take it."
Yeah, I mean, Gunnar Henderson's cooled off. They're 1 game under 500 for the second half. They look uninspired. Not It's one of those things where injuries kind of mount on teams. You got to rally, man. It sucks, but you got to rally and just kind of hang in there. They're hanging in there right now, but I worry as the arms continue to dwindle down. There's only a finite number of major league arms
Yeah,
floating there.
yeah. Baltimore, if you're looking for an arm, I haven't pitched competitively in about 26 years, but I'd be happy to lace them up and give it a try.
I was
I
gonna
used to
say,
be over 300 pounds. I'm a little less than that now. I mean, been walking a lot. I might be able to get you 6 outs or so.
have you had Tommy John yet?
No,
Not that perfect.
yeah. And I can beat Kiki's fastball. I can throw more than 52 miles an hour. Okay, so Jackson, my number three, you're gonna love this because it's a question to you, Jackson. And here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna ask you a question, and you're going to give me a rapid fire answer, and then you're gonna defend your answer. I'm not gonna let you think about it. Okay. You gotta give me a rapid fire answer and then defend it, and then we'll come back to it next week when you've had some time to think about it. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Okay. What is more likely to happen? Aaron Judge hitting 60 home runs this season or Shohei being a 50-50 guy?
60 home runs.
Defend it.
Uh, Shohei's kind of a slump right now. And when he gets hot, he hits too many extra bases. That's what it's going to be at the end of the day. I think he's going to miss out on the stolen bases by a couple. he's not quite on pace. He would need to steal more than he already is, and he's actually stealing at a pretty high clip right now. Whereas I think Aaron Judge just hit his 48,
Mhm.
and as long as Juan Soto's right behind him, trending towards 40, I think you have to pitch to Judge. Otherwise, you just get punished by Soto.
Yeah, yeah. I actually, I, it's funny. I'm not going to be a homer in this one, but I actually think that they're both very capable. And I want you to defend that answer next week. I'm gonna ask you the same question after you've had time to think about it. If I had to bet on one, if I had to bet on one, I'd go Shohei with the 50-50. Because 11 home runs in a month for him is not unusual if he breaks out of the slump that you're talking about. Stealing
Yeah,
11 bases is no big
yeah.
deal.
The worry is it's not guaranteed. There's so many variables when you hit the ball as hard as he does. You have to get it just at the right launch. So like he's definitely capable of 50-50, but it's like, is he gonna either A, barrel enough balls up in the sweet spot to get him over the fence, or
Mhm.
B, have enough opportunities to run where he's not just running for the sake of running, you know?
So let me ask you this. Is this man considered the best man on the planet? If next season, if he goes 40-40 again, or even if he goes 35-35, but he adds 8 to 10 wins on the mound, is he the best athlete we've ever seen?
He's definitely up there. I'd have to sit down and really kind of analyze all athletes from all sports, but he's definitely probably top three baseball player of all time. He goes out and does that. I just don't think he's going to steal as many bases next year pitching. Pitching just takes so much out of your legs.
Yeah. I,
That's
I
why I think
mean,
he's kind of going for it this year.
um, the I agree. I agree. We'll probably will see him back stealing 20-25 bags, maybe.
Maybe.
But what he's doing, and this is why I ask this question. So Aaron Judge is a force to be reckoned with. If I'm a pitcher, I'm looking at that guy and I'm going, oh crap, I can't make a mistake because I got Juan Soto behind me. If I make a mistake, he's gonna make it a souvenir. If I walk him, now I got to pitch to Juan Soto, who's incredibly hot right now. The flip side to that, every time Shohei gets on, if I'm looking at him and I'm coming set and I'm looking at him at first base, looking at home, I'm looking at first base, I'm not paying attention to Mookie Betts. I'm worried whether or not this guy's going to take second. Then I make a mistake to Mookie and it becomes a double and or a souvenir. So Shohei's intangibles, however you say that, is drastically higher than some people might think.
Yeah,
So
no, I agree. When you're that good of a base stealer, and Otani's more than just fast; he knows when to run. It
yes,
it makes it just that much harder. Like because you got guys that are fast and just run all the time, like Ellie De La Cruz. Bobby Witt Jr. is a volume run guy. They get caught quite a bit. Um, Acuna gets caught quite a bit, but there are certain guys that when they run, they're usually safe.
yeah,
Trey Turner's another one that comes to mind.
yeah.
But yeah,
So how do you like that question, Jackson? That's a pretty good one, isn't it?
yeah. I mean, as crazy as it sounds, I think I'm going to take the thing that has happened before, 60 home run.
Yep. All right. So I'm gonna actually ask that on our morning show this morning and see what I get. Okay. Um, honorable mentions. We've had a great show, but honorable mentions, Jackson. What you got?
Um, Speedy recovery to Austin Riley. As a Braves fan, all I can say is pain. Stop, please stop. No more. And then
I'm
the fun
I'm
fact about
crying,
Aaron,
Uncle, Uncle.
yeah, yeah, pretty much. Fun fact about Aaron Judge is his slugging percentage is 722 this year, Bill.
Ooh,
You know what the major league average OPS is?
not that.
714. So
Babe Ruth home run number. Okay, here's my honorable mention. I don't like when people get, it's funny, I'm going to stay in Atlanta. I don't like when people get injured. I don't. I've said this from day one. I'd rather beat your best team. I don't want Stash out. I don't want Acuna out. When I'm playing the Braves, I want everything. Right. So, and I do not like social media when they make fun of players or they give players a hard time. I don't like that. If you don't if you're not a player, okay, you want to rip on another player, then lace them up. You travel with the team. You see how tired you are. You run your laps, you do everything like that, and then you perform at the highest level every day when somebody is going to make fun of you. Okay. But I did see a funny. So Truist Field had a concert, I believe it was, or something to that effect, messed up the outfield grass. I know you where you're going. I know you know where I'm going with this. But on social media, they had said even the grass is on the IL at Truist Field.
Oh yeah,
I laughed.
yeah.
I laughed.
Let me tell you, that's not even a half of it. In the last week, there's been two errant throws, one from the Angels, one from the Phillies. One hit Max Fried in the dugout on the head. He dodged injury, and then the other one lit up the first base coach. So
Yep. Yeah.
even the base coach has got to be looking out because they're coming for him.
Yeah. 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 Telling you. I mean, this season has been injury laden for every team, not just Braves. But
But
when I
yeah, there's several teams though. You look at their injured list for the year, you're like, are you kidding?
I laughed so hard when I saw that though. I'm like, okay, this one I can get behind because this is actually funny,
Yeah,
right? And so, anyways, I thought I'd mention that as an honorable mention.
great.
Jackson, great show today. Again, everybody use the code Jackson. Do not pay full price, but get yourself in the locker room. We have dugout mugs in there. We got collectibles in there. You don't want to pay full price. And let me give you a for example, Jackson. Let's say I didn't know anything about Top Fan and I wanted to join this locker room because I heard this podcast. And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to read some articles and everything like that. And then I'm scrolling through and I realized that there is a Sandy Koufax rated card there. And it's up for sale for $275, which is actually a steal of a deal compared to what it's actually worth, right? And so Sandy Koufax cards there, but I'm a locker room access member. I log into my locker room. I might just get that for 10% off.
Yep. Yes, you will. You get not just the cards, you get all the merchandise off. You can get cool hats. I
I
didn't wear
mean,
a sweatshirt today. I have a nice sweatshirt. I'm ready for fall. I'm all
can
set.
I get an amen from the bobbleheads? That's right. All right. Jackson, you know me. I got the morning show to do this morning.
Yep.
You should probably listen in if you get a chance. Just walk around with your phone and listen in because we're gonna have some fun today. So, all right, all right, my great and good friend Jackson. Let's do it again next week because we
Yep.
call it the weekly review. So we got to
Yep.
do it again next week, right?
Let's do it again next week.
All right, buddy. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye.